I'm on this planet for a very limited time, and to seize the opportunity to find my superpower, to find my greatness, and believe in that is a gift.
Welcome to Rainmakers. I'm Lauren Anderson. Today, I'm joined by Ken Vancini. Ken is the founder and CEO of Innova Connect, where he provides advisory services to companies around the world. Ken is a serial entrepreneur. He was the president and co-founder of ZRG Partners, which was sold in 2015, and since then has been advising and consulting companies in the executive search space. So welcome, Ken. We're grateful to have you.
I'm glad to be here, Lauren.
Okay. So a lot of our listeners are young professionals. What advice would you give in selecting a mentor?
Well, there's a little bit of philosophy in this, Lauren, that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? And so if you keep yourself open to continuous learning and you stay curious in your job, people will notice and want to help you. And that's really important. So one of my first mentors was a gentleman who was not very computer literate. He was an old-fashioned guy, but he just knew how to work with people. And the most important quality that he had is he believed in me. He believed in me more than I believed in myself, and gave me challenges and opportunities. And when I made a mistake, which we all make mistakes and we all err, he was there. He supported me. He was there. And I still to this day think of him all the time and his words of wisdom to me.
What a gift to have someone see your potential and invest in you in that way. Thank you for sharing. So it sounds like he really saw you as a key player. I'm curious to know, what are the skills or attributes that he saw in you that you maybe were not aware of? Did he ever specifically tell you?
Yeah, he did. I had a 20-year relationship with this gentleman. He unfortunately has since passed, but I got to interact with him at the beginning of my career, in the middle of my career, and at the end of his career. And we would talk about what made him believe in me, what inspired him to believe in me. And really what it was about curiosity. And, and curiosity, being not afraid to ask questions. Because when you're new in your career, you don't know very much, at least I didn't, but you don't know a lot about what's going on, the dynamics of a business, how all the working parts of a business come together. Yeah. And being curious, I would say, well, what's going on with this situation? What's going on with that situation? Why do this? And curiosity increases your knowledge and also shows people that you are interested in what's happening beyond just your job. And what I also was told early on in my career is, find someone who you respect, who works with you, and ask them how they got to where they're at. What are some of the things that made them successful, and, talk about the qualities that you admire and find out how they developed. So that's one thing. Curiosity is a really important piece of it. And also emotional intelligence.
Okay. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. Emotional intelligence is being able to have relationships with people around you and be able to read when you need to be assertive or when you need to be a good listener, having empathy. And empathy is not only for your coworkers, but for your customers. I think we've all been in situations where we've been on with somebody, a representative somewhere, and you can tell that the empathy is pouring out of them and they can relate to you. It's more than just a script. And to be able to do that, and that is also, not only for your customers, which is an essential piece of the customer service experience, but internally being able to build relationships with people you work with and understanding and having compassion for people when they're struggling or doing well, and to be able to celebrate with them. So emotional intelligence is really important. And also just the last thing I would say is consistency, right? There's a lot of pressure in different roles that you have, and having consistency is important to be steady and be able to ride with the ups and downs of life or work or whatever. I think those are really important attributes and qualities.
And I definitely think that consistency is also tied to emotional intelligence, right? That
It's a great point.
when you are experiencing highs and lows, that also affects your mood, the energy that's in the room, that's in the organization. And I definitely know for me, when you've had those people that are just solid, that it gives you permission. Okay, we're going to be okay. We're going to figure this out. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's a key part of leadership as well.
Things happen, Laura. Things are going to happen. And that's just inevitable. And how you deal with that and how you come together as a group and how you compose yourself is critical.
Yeah. And I think too, you can't prepare for every situation. We could have never known 20 years ago that AI was coming. I just think the things that you've shared are timeless, of being consistent, of having that emotional intelligence and being curious. So thank you for sharing those. I think that those are actionable things that people can take. So you have extensive experience in assessing talent and placing people in very high roles. How do you know when you've found a key player? What are 2 or 3 signals or attributes that tell you, okay, this person is not just good for this role, but this is a key player?
It's a really interesting question. And having hired for so many different roles, you're going to look for very different qualities if you want someone who is going to be in a customer-facing sales role versus someone who is going to be a support person. And those qualities are different, but there are some things that are really the same. And so what I look for in hiring someone is I listen to how they tell stories about their past. And I think storytelling is a lost art. If someone is with a role, if they're coming out and not taking ownership or responsibility for what they've done in the past, or if they're blaming other companies, I mean, that's obviously a red flag for things. But I want to hear about their successes. And the most important thing that I look for, I want to know what your superpower is. Like, what is it that gets you in flow? And that's such a great thing to ask. And I ask my kids that question. I ask people in my life, what's your superpower? Because we all have them.
Yeah.
And then depending on what the answer looks like will depend on how they will fit for the role. And like, for example, in a sales position, you know, if someone says to me, my superpower is I just love dealing with people. I love dealing with people. I love to get to know them. I love to hear what's going on. Then that's great. I think that's a fantastic situation. If someone says, I love problem solving. I love to come in and dissect and analyze problems. Maybe a customer service role or someone like that would be a good fit for them. So yeah, that's kind of what I look for.
I love it. So Ken, I'm going to push you on this. What's your superpower?
Oh, my superpower is I feel like I am very resourceful. So I can look at things and I can come up with solutions that are creative and unique. So for example, I'll just use AI. So I'm a big ChatGPT person, right? So I have 6 different personas in ChatGPT. I have a marketing expert. I have a sales expert. I have a LinkedIn expert agent. So what I've done is I've taken this AI, I've studied, I've looked at a million different YouTube videos, I've created prompting. And so I've come up with the solution for ChatGPT that works within my business. And I just can't wait for whatever comes next because I feel like I can take something and make it resourceful. And I think coupling with that, I love being with people. I just love learning about people. And one of the greatest joys in my life have been watching individuals who I've worked with right out of college or, you know, in the early stage of their career, just watch them bloom and blossom. And that's the greatest joy that I think a person I know I can have in my career.
That's so great. And it also goes in line with the advice you've given earlier around being a lifelong learner and consistency, that obviously there's a reason you're a serial entrepreneur, and because of that resourcefulness and the people part as well.
I also owe it to my assistant who's sleeping in the chair behind me. She's my motivating factor here.
I love it. What's her name?
Hazel.
Hazel. Thank you, Hazel. Well done. I hope you already got a walk this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, going along with this, do you have a go-to interview question?
It depends on the situation.
Just kind of depends. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. But one of the interview questions I really like, actually, it was asked of me early in my career, and I like to ask it when you're dealing with a customer service person. It's called the inbox challenge. I don't know if you ever heard of this or not, but you give someone 4 scenarios. And you say, like, A would be you have a long-term customer who's really angry. And you come into work and this is kind of in your inbox and they're upset because there's a billing problem and they need your attention. So option B would be you get an email from your manager and the manager says, hey, I have a very important meeting this afternoon. I need these notes right away. A third option would be something like your CRM is down and some of your teammates are asking you for directions on how to operate that CRM. And then another one might be, the fourth option would be, what a new customer is calling and they sent you a note and it's a huge customer and they want some information. Which one of those 4 things would you do first? You can't do them all at once. And why would you do it in that order? Remember, the 4 scenarios are email from an angry customer, your boss wants a report, your CRM is down, or you have a new big customer. And what I'd like to see with that one question, it's kind of a bunch of questions, but I'd like to see, there's really no right answer, right? And again, there's so many different variables, but I'd like to see how an individual thinks about that, where they prioritize their time and what they feel is most important. So it's a tricky question, isn't it?
AI could not answer that question, a critical thinking question like that. That's a good one. Hold on to that.
I'm going to hold on to it.
And our audience, take that one and run. I found one of asking, when is a time when you were not your best self with someone? It can be in any situation, and what did you do about it? Because we've had people that have come in and they've said, oh, I've never gotten upset with someone. And like, oh, I've had to apologize to Costco workers before anyways. So I'm like, okay, fine. When's a time when you should have said something and you didn't? Just trying to understand how people deal with conflict, right? Because as you said, things happen in business.
I could bring my wife in and she could answer that much more clearly than I. I don't remember having any bad moments, but I'm sure she would be able to help me sort through my delusion on that one. But I do have a question for you.
Yes.
I would love to hear what your superpower is.
Oh, okay. I feel sheepish saying this, but I learned it during my MBA. We had to do a lot of personality assessments and different things. And my superpower is bringing out the best in the people around me and just being willing to be bad at something to get better at it. So having the discipline to do that as well.
That's great. So bringing out the best in people, such an important thing, right? Because that's what the person's going to feel. They're going to feel you bringing out the best in them. And again, you don't remember what people say, you remember how they made you feel, right?
Yeah. But it's interesting, though, when you have superpowers, you don't always know that you have them. So I loved how you were talking about having a mentor or having someone that points it out to you. That's one thing that I wish I would have known earlier. I think I was 33 or something before I had that realization. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that I do that. And I don't know how I do it, but that sounds great. I'll have that.
One of the things, Lauren, that's really interesting is that superpower that we have doesn't just apply to work. It applies to family life. It applies to whatever involvement we have. It's a universal superpower.
So I would love to know if you could go back and whisper something in your ear in the beginning of your career, like with all the knowledge you have now, what advice would you give your earlier self?
Buy Bitcoin early. That's what I would say. Buy it early.
Yes.
And you'll be a trillionaire by the time you're whatever.
And hold on to your login. Buy Bitcoin and know your login.
You're right. Exactly. It's exactly right. So the one thing I would say is just believe in yourself better. Like there's no reason why you shouldn't excel, you shouldn't grow, you know, just keep the faith and understand that, because sometimes early in careers, I know in my case, I got very intimidated by people who I thought were in positions of power, you know, whether it was exhibiting lots of wealth or just had that ambiance about them that they were successful. Yeah. And then I would say to myself, geez, they're so much better than me. And they really aren't.
Yeah.
You know, they just have further along in their career, or they just happen to tap into something. But we all, it gets back to our superpower. We all have the capacity to be great. And just believe in yourself. And that's really what's important.
I would give myself the same advice. And with younger professionals, you have people that are growing up and becoming adults at a time where maybe they don't feel like they have the social skills that we've talked about here, or maybe some of the resilience that they feel like they should have at this point. And I think the only way forward is what you've mentioned of you have to believe in yourself. No one else can do that for you. I think people can help, like mentors and things that we've talked about today, but it's a choice. It's a choice to believe in yourself.
It is a choice. And there's also the flip side of that, Lauren, which is doing that all with humility and being able to, I believe in myself, but also I'm no better than anybody else, but I know that I can do better. I'm on this planet to do certain things for a very limited time, and to seize the opportunity to find my superpower, to find my greatness, and believe in that is a gift. And I didn't have that gift for the beginning part of my career.
Okay, then last question, and then I have a lightning round for you that's really easy. But can you talk more about how you developed it?
Through a series of successes.
Really? Usually people will say failures, so I'm so curious.
I certainly had failures, right? But when I realized that, like I can tell you some incredible stories about, there was a company in South Dakota called Gateway 2000, which made these computers. Mm-hmm. And I went in and at a very young age, I redesigned their entire process of doing equipment leasing, and I automated this form process. And I came in and it was like I was so proud to be able to do something like that. At a young age, I was leading groups, and early on in my career, I had a mentor in the equipment leasing space, and he flew me to Cedar Rapids, Iowa to do a consultant project. So he was a consultant working with me as I was trying to build this group up. And he was a really interesting guy. He showed me a floppy disk. So he said, "What do you think the margin is on this product?" He said, "I sell it for $39. I said, "I don't know." He goes, "My margin's $272. I said, "How did you do that?" He said, "Well, once I know that someone has a computer, I'm going to sell them a lot more stuff." So this guy really believed in me. He gave me such good advice. And so he ended up starting a little company called TurboTax. That was the disk.
Oh, yeah.
And he ended up selling it to Intuit. And then he started GoDaddy.
Wow.
And so the founder of GoDaddy, Bob Parsons is his name. And he kept in touch through the years. And obviously he moved on to a whole different world. But so again, this guy believed in me. He said, "You've got some really good, innovative ideas." And, I worked with one of the best guys I've ever worked with, Larry Hardman. He's just an amazing guy. And, he instilled a lot of confidence in me. And I wish I could say it's a straight line, but it's really not. You go back and forth.
I think that this is such good, actionable advice for people of getting a mentor, of just showing up. right? That things are not going to be linear. They're not necessarily going to be exactly how you planned. But if you surround yourself with good people and you have that humility, you have that consistency, and believe in yourself, it's a great recipe. Okay, we're going to do a lightning round and then we'll let you go. So, best burger.
Oh, I like it's a Buzzy's hamburger in Boston, which is a double cheeseburger with smothered onions and mushrooms.
Awesome. Go-to business book recommendation.
I like Blue Ocean Strategies.
Okay. Last one. Favorite decade of your life so far?
Each one has its own unique and fun things.
Yeah.
I think right now, my 60s. I got free time to do things I love. I've got a grandson that I love. I get to go on the boat, enjoy life. So I have to say right now, but the 40s were really, really good too. So each decade has its own value. What was your favorite decade?
30s so far, but I'm at the end of my 30s. So onward and upward, as my grandma would say.
Wait till the 40s. The 40s will even better.
I love it. Okay, Ken, so where can listeners follow you and your work?
LinkedIn is the best option for me. I post regularly on AI and executive search content.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes. Ken Vancini, thank you for joining us on Rainmakers today. It's been a pleasure.
Glad to have been asked.